Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and the Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody to support us if you have a chance or if you can. Even $1 helps, and we have a link in the description to a website called Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to donate to us and support us. Again, any amount is helpful so that we can keep putting out content. And there's also other ways for you to support us in the show notes to this podcast or on YouTube in the description. After a podcast the other day about whether or not KPMG was rehiring, someone that worked at KPMG commented and said that KPMG is having meetings now where employees can hear of how they can position themselves for raises and promotions. And this person felt that KPMG has more work than they can staff, most likely because they laid people off and they don't want people to leave. And additionally, they said that KPMG is going to be providing mid-year raises to make up for not issuing raises last year. This person also said that they agree that the partners do not care about the employees as much as they make it seem. So I think that the reason I wanted to highlight that was just to show that KPMG is concerned about people leaving. They don't want to have to rehire everybody. They're already having to do that. They're already having to hire a lot of people, as we spoke about in that post. But right now, they're not trying to have to rehire everybody. They don't want to lose good people and good practices, because at the end of the day, KPMG is going to have to compete against the other big four. And right now, in revenues, they're lagging behind. Not only in the US, but globally, but North America, they're definitely behind. So they're going to have to make up for that. And they might seem like they were ahead of the curve laying people off. But when this work comes back to the accounting firms, and it's the largest businesses in the world that are doing the best, when this work comes back to the accounting firms, KPMG is going to be the least prepared for it because they have less people and they're the smaller accounting firm. And if all these companies want to do this ESG stuff, this global work, and KPMG is pushing that really hard right now, then they need to have enough people to implement this. But unfortunately, if you're out there firing people and destroying morale, then you're not going to have enough people to work when the good times come. But that's why I think the big four accounting firms, they need to talk more to the employees. They need to have more meetings like this person said they're having to raise morale, so they don't lose the people, so they can take advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself. And that's not to say that they shouldn't be doing these ESG things, but it is to say that they need to get better at speaking to the employees, at raising morale, because the big four accounting firms don't do a good job of that. Especially in times right now, they're more concerned about the public image, and they're not as concerned about how they look to their employees. And they say one thing and do another. They shouldn't come up with these fancy impact plans when they can do other things, like maybe have an impact plan internally of how they're going to improve employees' lives and what they're going to do for them, instead of signing on to these World Economic Forum things. And it's just not the time to be implementing these huge things globally when you have to worry about your employees and how you're going to survive a pandemic as a business, but how you're going to help your employees. They're worried about their jobs because you've laid people off. You have to curb that. You have to do as many webcasts as you can saying, we're not going to do this anymore. This is why we did that. Maybe reach out to some of those former employees and rehire them. Things like that. You can't just turn your back on it and just sign on to all these global initiatives. It just doesn't look right, and you're going to lose a lot of people, especially if you're in the caboose of the big four accounting firms. It's just going to be hard for KPMG to snap back from this. And I don't mean they're not going to survive. I just mean that they're not going to gain ground. They already lost a ton of ground this year in the US and in Europe, it appears like. So it's only going to get worse for them. And hopefully they take more employee initiatives going forward. So that's the podcast today. To get future updates, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like this video on our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening.